Boo. You hear that? That's what a ghost makes when they try to spook you. They go, boo, boo. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Ghoulish. I am Max Booth, a host, and today on the podcast I am talking to Betty Rocksteady about Casper the Friendly Ghost. We talk about ghostesses and graveyards and cartoons. We talk about the original Casper cartoons, and then Betty tells me about a Casper comic book she recently read, which for some reason contains two separate stories about genies. I don't understand either, and I've already had this conversation with her. So yes, strap in for a spooky episode of Ghoulish with me, Max Booth, a host, and today's guest, Betty Rocksteady. Ooh, ouch. It's been a while since you've been on this podcast. I assume you haven't been on any other podcast since then as well. Are you nervous? Are you ready for this?
I'm super nervous.
Oh, we don't have to. We can just stop.
Oh, can we? Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Bye.
Are you done with joking around?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, good. I'm not in the mood to joke around. I did just notice that this is going to be episode 69, which is appropriate for a conversation about a dead boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done some research now, and I'm really confused. There seems to be some mixed opinions on what Casper is. Some places say he's a boy who actually died. Some places claim that ghosts are like a different species, and you will build the ghost. You have ghost moms and ghost dads. What kind of light can you shed on this?
I don't know, it's one of those things that there's no real answer to. It's kind of like Roswell, right? Like, who really knows the truth of whether Casper's dead? Only he does.
Did you say like Roswell?
Yeah.
That's a real place.
It is a real place,
yeah.
But what's the truth of that activity that happened?
I've been there, I can tell you. I mean, I've been to Roswell. What do you want to know?
What do they think of ghosts there? Are they of the opinion that ghosts are their own species, or that they're dead people?
I did not ask that. I apologize.
I thought you said you could answer anything.
I guess I lied. I went to Roswell. I'm going to talk about Roswell now, so I guess just stick with this.
Yeah, buckle up.
I went to Roswell. We were driving to California, and we thought, oh yeah, let's go to the alien town. That'll be fun. And we looked up an alien museum. And we booked it down to the museum and discovered it was going to close in 5 minutes. And we said, well, we don't want to pay to come in because it's only 5 minutes. So they said, okay, just go in, but walk fast. It turns out it's just like one room. It took us less than 5 minutes to look at everything. Really disappointing. There's no like alien-themed restaurant either, which I was hoping to find. It was all really dumb, and Roswell kind of sucks.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Do you think that maybe if you had longer than 5 minutes, they would have led you to the downstairs room where the autopsy took place?
I don't know. But at least it was free. And then we went to a one of those alien gift shops, and there was a alien statue on the sidewalk. And I thought I would impress my family by getting on my knees on this held concrete, this really hot held concrete, and pretending like I was praying to this alien. But it was so tough on my knees that they just cut open, and I began bleeding.
That's quite the alien sacrifice you pulled off there then. Were your family impressed?
No, they were mostly embarrassed.
Yeah.
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 A recurring theme, I guess, is me embarrassing myself in front of aliens. So what is Casper? You don't know? No one knows? That's the idea?
I think he is a dead person because as we saw in one of the cartoons we watched, dead things do turn into ghosts. Isn't that proof right there? And were in graveyards in one of the cartoons as well. They all came up out of the gravestones.
In the second cartoon we watched called Feels Good Booze Tonight, which sounds suspiciously like booze. I think these ghosts are alcoholics. Anyway, it begins with every ghost like waking up inside of assigned graves, and Casper is hanging out on top of a grave reading a book. So that tells me that's his grave, and he was just chilling.
That's what it leads me to believe as well.
I also wonder if that's canon, do ghosts just sleep inside thrown corpses?
Maybe sometimes, because with the cartoons we watch, I mean, the comic is very different. But in the cartoons we watch, they seem like they were waking up somewhere different every episode. Like in one, they were in that haunted house that they're,
Yeah, it was like a big office space they all seemed to share. Let's talk about the first two cartoons that we saw, and then you can tell me about the comics, because I know nothing about the comics.
The cartoons were very dark, especially those first two.
Yeah. I read that nobody knows who voiced Casper in these old cartoons. Just unknown child actor.
Voiced himself. The ghost of Casper just was the voice.
Oh, is that true? Is Casper a real boy?
Yeah.
Wow. What was his, how did he die?
He drowned.
Nice. I love a boy who drowns.
Yeah, Casper also looks quite a bit like Richie Rich, who was another Harvey comic character, and I think there are some rumors that he may be a dead Richie Rich.
So I have that note written down. I meant to bring it up at some point in this episode. I read about this theory that he is the ghost of Richie Rich, who either committed suicide as a young boy because the pursuit of money just corrupted him, or perhaps his parents killed him for the insurance money.
Yeah, both of those seem very likely.
Can you take insurance money, like insurance out on a child? I don't know.
I don't know either.
That seems like, I don't know, it seems like some type of collusion, because you could just keep making kids and just killing them. You'd be fucking rich. It's not a bad get-rich-quick scheme.
It's an excellent get-rich-quick scheme.
Can you put insurance out on a kid before it's delivered from the womb? Because do they cover abortions is what I'm trying to ask.
If not, that's a loophole that I'm very interested in exploiting.
If anyone knows about this scheme we're talking about, hit us up on social media.
But so the cartoons. Let's talk about Casper, maybe a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about the Friendly Ghost. This was I think the really first Casper cartoon, right?
Yeah, and it did pretty much set up like all his character traits. Like he's just a little nice ghost, and all the other ghosts really like scaring everybody. That's like their main thing in life. They just want to go scare people. It's a big party, and Casper doesn't want to. He just wants to make friends. And every time he makes friends, they're scared of him or they die.
I have questions about this immediately. Ghosts can sleep? That was a big thing I discovered watching these cartoons. Is that just a thing that people know about, that ghosts can just sleep?
I don't know. I feel like maybe they just do it for something to do. Like they seem to live in the comics, especially, they live like fairly normal lives. Like they go to bed, they get up, they eat breakfast, they go out and scare people all day, they come back for lunch, they fuck around with Casper, they,
What
go
do
to bed eventually.
ghosts typically eat?
Well, fried eggs is one popular dish I've seen them eat in this comic.
I
Uh,
like it so, Phil.
yeah, Casper was making the ghostly trio some fried eggs in one of them, so.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
There's a boy I think who lives in this house who is not a ghost. Is that right?
In what house?
In the original cartoon we watched, because wasn't he reading a book called How to Win Friends, and he fell asleep, and then Casper came and took the book? Am I not remembering this correctly?
That I thought Casper was just reading the book.
Oh, okay. Either way, that is the saddest book title I've ever seen.
It's a very sad book title. But it seemed to help him. He
Ye-
seemed to have some skills. Like he knew how to try.
Yeah, so once all the ghosts in the house, they leave to go kill everybody for the night.
And they were pumped. I want to point out, like they were super excited, even though this is a nightly occurrence. When time comes to go scare people, holy shit, it's a party. One of them's like rowing his little boat in the air or something.
Yeah. I love it, but I have questions again because that's.
Yeah, go, please do.
Do you think at a certain point, when did these humans just expect this to happen? Why are they continuously afraid?
Yeah, and like, what are they afraid of? Because the ghosts don't ever do anything except the scare itself. Like, it's all about the scare, the shock. So they're gonna shock them every time, but you don't have to be a ghost to do that, really. You can sneak up on people.
Yeah, I sneak up on people all the time, and
I believe it.
yeah, like one or two times I'll get them, but after that they just go, "Oh, okay, I get it now. Do something else."
Well, yeah, I mean, you could still startle them, though. Maybe it's all about the startle.
Yeah, I guess that's true because you ever watch those shitty jump skill videos where it's like, oh, here's a normal thing going on for 50 seconds, and then a giant witch face jumps at you.
Yeah.
Those will make me scream every time, even
And
if I know
even
it's
if
going
you
to
know
happen.
it's coming,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, even if you know there's ghosts out there, and they're going around scaring all the people of the world, so, maybe you only get scared by a ghost 3 times in your life. So, yeah, you'd be kind of tense about it, I think.
Yeah, imagine only getting skilled by a ghost once. No, I think twice would have to be the perfect number because then you know it could happen again.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, just once, maybe it was just, a weird circumstance. But yeah, twice, 2 different locations, nothing to connect the two. You're just like, fuck, this could happen anytime.
That would be terrifying. But Casper, he gets sick of this shit. He decides he's gonna go out and he's gonna find some friends. He packs a hobo knapsack.
A bindle, that's called, Max. That is called a bindle.
I call it a hobo knapsack, Betty. That's what we call it in the United States.
Well, the official term is a bindle.
Well, what does he pack though? What is he packing in this knapsack?
His book about how to win friends.
I don't think you need a blanket and a stick to hold a book. You can just hold the book. That seems like it's adding more difficulty to the traveling.
What do you think you might have packed?
I don't know.
What would you pack as a ghost if you were going on a trip to make friends?
Fried eggs.
Fried eggs. He probably just packed a bundle full of fried eggs.
I don't know. I guess I would pack like disguises. We learned that this ghost can put clothes on, so which means he's intentionally walking around nude.
I gotta say, some of the rules are very inconsistent, both in the cartoons and the comics, about what a ghost can and can't do as far as like how solid they are.
Yeah. Yeah, because he can just sometimes float through a gate, and other times, like an animal, could just touch him, and the animal doesn't go through him, which is not good writing.
And I would think, like, if it were always to his benefit of what he does and doesn't touch, I would think, well, it must just be like he must turn it on and off. He can touch things if he wants, but it's not always to his benefit. So I really feel like they fucked up really badly, extremely badly.
Yeah, so badly they should be canceled.
Hmm.
I thought for a moment because From what I can gather, every at least of the cartoon, every episode is Caspel's like, I'm gonna go meet some friends, and he walks up to numerous animals and humans, and they all go, "Oh my god, a ghost!" and they run away.
That's basically a Casper staple, yes. That's his thing. Yeah.
He gives, and then this the first episode, he kind of gets sick of it. He lays across some train tracks. I thought he was trying to do a ghost suicide.
He was definitely trying. Like, I feel like that's factual. He was trying to do a ghost suicide. He might be a little dumb. I don't know. I think he had like his head laid on the, like, he wanted his head cut off. Is what his goal there was.
He might be dumb. He might just not realize he can't die.
I gotta say though, I love the narrator of these. It's cute.
He's really funny. At the end of this one, I'm jumping ahead, but I'll come back. At the end of this one, he goes, if you don't believe in ghost stories, too bad. That's what happened.
And he starts it out too with, if you believe in ghosts, here's a story about a ghost. If you don't, well, here it is anyway.
Well, eat shit, I guess.
I guess maybe just go fuck yourself if you don't believe in ghosts.
I'm going to have to get some of the audio from this guy and put it in the episode so anyone listening will know what we're talking about, because he's just the best.
Nobody's going to know what we're talking about anyway, I don't think.
I think they will. It says in the title, Casper, it says Betty Rocksteady is a guest. What else do you need to know?
That's it.
Yeah, let's look. I'm looking at my notes. My main question was, what's in his fucking hobo knapsack? I'd like to see that Casper's anti-landlord.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, well, after he tried to kill himself on the railroad tracks and failed, a couple little kids came and they were just like, "Hey, what's up? Do you want to hang out and be our friend?" And he was very bashful. And
he blushed.
Yeah,
he turned red.
Blushed. I didn't know. Where did that blood come from? No one knows.
I thought you knew.
I don't. No, I didn't.
Oh shit.
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Maybe it was a blood train. I don't know. So yeah. So then the kids took him home. Their mom was like, "Oh shit, a ghost," and she was super spooked. But then the landlord came and he was like, "You have to pay the mortgage right now." And then he got one look at Casper and he was like, "Forget it. See ya. I guess it's haunted. You can keep the mortgage."
I guess that's all you need not to pay rent as a ghost.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I guess we already talked about the fact that she dresses Casper. Then I guess she adopts him as a good good luck charm against paying rent.
Well, yeah, because if she lets him go somewhere, what's going to stop the landlord from coming back looking for rent? She's got to keep that ghost. And if she's keeping him, she's going to educate him.
That's good. Every ghost should have an education.
I agree.
I found an image of a ghost school. Have you read anything about this ghost school? It's called the Ghost Finishing School. It's from the comic books, evidently. The image I found is the front cover of the comic. The comic is just Casper the Friendly Ghost, and it's Casper coming out of Ghost Finishing School, crying and holding his report card. He got a 0 in haunting. He got a 0 in shrieking, a 0 in being horrifying, and a 0 for efforts. And the comments on the report card say really bad, is much too friendly for a ghost. So I guess they just have schools where ghosts can go.
I'm not surprised. It does seem like the ghost community is very structured from what I can tell. The comic I read didn't have Ghost Finishing School. It was in the Enchanted Forest, but I do believe there are other Casper iterations. It's a story that goes through time and comes out differently every time, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to the second and last cartoon I watched, which is extremely screwed up.
That one, I've been avoiding rewatching that for years because it's too much for me.
I can see why. So I was looking at the Wikipedia page I was reading up on the cartoons, and they said They mentioned 3 cartoons in when they first came out, and they mentioned, and then in those good booze tonight, things took a dark turn. And without reading anything else, I looked up the YouTube video and sent you the link and began watching without knowing what that dark turn was.
Oh damn! Yeah, it was a dark turn. I originally, I think I misremembered it. I thought it was a cat that Casper made friends with, and so I was a little more sensitive about it.
Yeah, but no, it's just a fox that
It's
looks
just a fox.
suspiciously like Tails from Sonic.
Very cute little fox. Do you think that Casper, the friendly ghost, knocked off, like they ripped off Sonic the Hedgehog?
I think so, yeah.
I do too.
Because if you think about it, in the cartoon we watched, anytime Casper bumped into something, coins shot out of his anus.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I also, yeah, definitely a Sonic vibe there.
Another thing we discovered in this cartoon is ghosts can take baths.
Well, they should have to if they don't want to be dirty.
I didn't know ghosts can get dirty, so this was pretty fascinating.
But yeah, so this was again a cartoon where
Yes.
where yeah, Casper's running around trying to make friends, and everybody. Oh, this time he has a book very similar to the first book, but it's about animal friends this time.
Ooh, that's called foreshadowing.
And again, everybody's running out to be really excited to go. Very, very similar to the first one in structure, because everyone is again flying through the air, super excited to go scare people, except Casper, who goes to make friends with little animals.
Yeah, he meets a fox, and the fox is, I guess, wanted by the law.
I think those are just hunters, like everyday hunters.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
I don't think they were lawmen and law dogs.
I don't know why my mind went to bounty hunter dogs.
But yeah, first they had to show have us see Casper and the little fox having the best time. They were very, very happy together. And then the dogs hunt down and murder the fox. And Casper sobs.
And then he digs a grave.
Yeah.
Which
And
I guess he can touch without his hands going through.
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't stop the dogs from murdering his only friend because the dogs just went right through him because he was a ghost. But he can dig a grave and pick up the dead body.
Do the dogs go through Casper?
Yeah, they went right through him.
Then how come later on they see Casper and just freak out and just go the opposite direction?
I guess they didn't see him because they were running so fast. But once they got a look at him, they were like, oh shit, a ghost that can't do anything.
Yeah, because dogs have a concept of the afterlife.
Right? It made them confront their own mortality, and they didn't like what they saw, so yeah.
This could be us. Yeah. Okay, and he's crying by this grave he made, and the ghost fox, jumps out and says, hey, bud, let's be ghost friends. And they have the narrator comes in and goes, and they lived happily ever after, which is false. They did not live.
They didn't live at all, but I guess they were happy, although we never see the fox again in any Casper, as far as I know. He's just fucking... Maybe they got in a fight directly afterwards.
I think it ditched the Casper. It's like, you look kind of lame. I want to go skill some people. I'm a fox.
That's totally fair, because that does seem to be what comes through in you when you turn into a ghost. You're like, oh shit, time to scare everybody. Would you scare people? You would be a scarer, wouldn't you, Max?
Yeah, I'm one now. I love scaling people. Mm-hmm. I'm like, let's go outside. And my favorite type of way to skill somebody is, I'll tell you my trademark skill. This was back when we used to have phone books, so I guess now just look up online, find out who lives close to you, look up their name, because it's really important that you go to a house where you know the names of who lives in that house. So you have to go, you find the house, you find what I call the victim, quotation notes around victim. And you go to that house and you wait until everybody's asleep and you find a window that's unlocked. There's always going to be one window that's unlocked. You slip in. It would help if you brought a knife with you, but you can you can find one in the kitchen. There's always a knife in the kitchen. Trust me, I've done this many times. And you tiptoe to the bedroom until you find the person you were looking for. And then you shout the name really loud, and they're going to be like, oh my god, who's calling me, and how do they know my name? And as they act confused, you just slit their throat and run.
That is a great prank, Max.
Thank you. I was reading how much interest do you have in the movie that came out in the 90s?
I mean, like, I saw it in the 90s, and I don't really remember much else about it.
I don't remember much. I know I saw it when it came out. I was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it beyond that
probably.
as well. Yeah, Evil 51. But the movie, I guess the movie thought it would be too confusing if they didn't address how this ghost died. So they came up with a backstory that the mom died during childbirth, and then he just lived alone with his dad, who was an insane, mad scientist, inventor type of guy. He just invented all these crazy doohickeys. And the boy died by just spending too long out in the snow, playing, sledding. He got ammonia and died.
That's terrible.
So that's one way a child can die. Little other ways.
I feel like you really led me to believe that the inventions in doohickeys were going to have something to do with the death.
That is my suspicion. I believe that the being outside in the snow is just like a way to throw us off, some type of a cover story this crazy scientist made up. But I feel like he killed his kid somehow in some type of experiment.
I think you're right. Like, otherwise, why would that red herring be there?
Yeah, it's the same thing like how when Stephen King was writing Gerald's Game, he took his son Joe and tied him up to a bed and said, hey, try to escape. I'm sure something like that happened with this scenario, but it ended up with his son losing his head or something. If you die decapitated as a ghost, do you have that head again, or is it just gone?
I think you have to carry it around with you. Like, your head would be reanimated wherever it was, and your body would be, well, not reanimated, but your head would be a ghost near your head, and your body would be a ghost near your body. If they're nearby each other, you can reattach yourself. If not, I don't know, I guess you got a mission.
It seems like the ideal way to be a ghost is to be slightly detached, because then you could do little pranks. Like, I could hide my head in a fridge and, like, tiptoe away and draw attention by tapping on, like, a wall until someone comes down and they realize, no one's in this kitchen. But since I'm up, I might as well have a snack. And they open it, and, a head.
Oh shit, a head. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, cool. What else do I have to talk about? Did you read about how the two guys who invented this comic, it wasn't a comic, I guess a children's book is what they wanted it to be. A man named Seymour Wright and Joe Olo. I don't know if I said that right. Probably not. But anyway, Seymour, he got drafted for World War II. And then Joe stayed behind and secretly sold the rights for $175.
Yep.
Excellent.
I did. Yes, I did read that.
Do you know anything else about that? That's all I could find out.
No, I know like it was bought by Harvey Comics, and they do a lot of Casper fit in very well with their other comics. They all look very similar to each other. Like the little bean bodies and the big bean head and little tiny arms and legs.
All the research I could find seemed to emphasize that Casper was a fat child in the beginning, but then once it got picked up into modern day cartoons, Casper slimmed down. They really want to emphasize that.
I noticed that too, and I find Casper still a little pudgy. Like, not to body shame ghosts or anything. But I wouldn't say he's super slim in the comics. He's a little pudgy. But yeah, he was definitely fatter in those first ones.
Yeah. I don't know. Tell me about this comic book you read.
Yeah, so I used to read Casper when I was a kid. I read mostly Archie comics back then, but I dipped into the Harveys a little bit. And yeah, so I had a Casper digest in front of me the other day when you asked me if I wanted to do a Ghoulish, so I have read it. And it's Casper and all his pals. It's not very good.
Is it like an anthology of different Caspel stories or one ongoing plot?
So there's like a lot of little one-page stories. There's a couple of long, rambling, like, I don't know, maybe 15 or 25-page stories that are broken up in between, and those are all very strange.
This seems like a big book. What is it called?
Uh, Casper Digest Stories. It is big. It's 132 pages. It's a
Holy
digest.
shit. Holy my. Well, I do a digest. Sometimes it's not that long.
Well, this one is.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's from the 80s, and I think it was collected from some earlier comics. Like, it would have been like the regular 30-page comics, kind of
Yeah.
similar to how the Archie digests are.
Okay.
And some longer stories, some stories that are 2 or 3 pages, some that are way longer. 2 of the longer ones both featured genies, which I found interesting.
Is a genie a ghost?
A genie is not, no. A genie is like a different sort of creature, I believe.
They look like ghosts, though.
They are also transparent like ghosts, but I think they're more of like a mystical being, and they have more control over their shape and control over the world because they can grant any kind of wish.
So what's the plot lines with the genies?
Well, in one of them, this is quite long. It's called The Nicest Man in the Desert. So Casper wakes up one day. He's making his ghost friends, the ghostly trio, who are the 3 ghosts he lived with. I guess they're brothers. And maybe they're his uncles. I'm not quite sure their relationship, but they're just regular ghosts. They like to scare people. They think Casper's a loser, and he makes them fried eggs.
I read like 3 different ideas about the ghostly trio. One is that they might just be Caspel's brothers. One might be that they are his uncles, and then the other idea is they're just random ghosts that he met in some ghost halfway house, and then they just kind of kidnapped him into doing full deeds.
Oh God, I don't know. He seems so willing to serve them, and it seems like a family unit, I gotta say. I'm not sure the specifics though. But anyway, so he's making them their eggs, and they're not into it, and they're cranky because Casper is so boring and such a goody two-shoes. So they decide they're gonna go to the desert and get a really big cactus to put in his bed.
Go on.
So then Casper is making them lunch, and they never show up for lunch, and he's like, "Oh shit, where's the guys?" And then he ends up out in the desert.
Are we talking about eggs for lunch as well?
No, for lunch he made. He's just slicing up some big loaves of bread, and there's a jar of pickles.
Okay.
So. So he's asking his friends, and like a cloud blows them to the desert where the trio are, and they are crawling through the desert looking for water because they're very thirsty, and they're dying of thirst now in the desert.
I'm trying to visualize the writing meeting they must have had. Like, oh yeah, now these ghosts are going to be dying of thirst. But wait a second, aren't they already ghosts? Yeah, what?
No one said anything about that. I feel like at the writers' meeting, the meeting was just one guy, and he was on cocaine.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, you have to be on some type of drug, I think, to be writing an ongoing comic about a dead boy.
I think there was like these. I might be wrong, but I feel like I've heard before that Harvey comics were notorious for being like churned out very quickly, like. Not a lot of thought to character design for the secondary characters, and just kind of making it as simple as possible. Your first pass is good enough.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out, like, if this plot was just directly taken from a different comic they also published, just replaced with ghosts.
Oh God, yeah, it could easily be Richie Rich going to help somebody. definitely. So anyway, then Casper runs into an old man in the desert, the nicest man of the desert. And that man thinks that Casper's a mirage, so he's not afraid of him. He's not a ghost, he's a mirage. This guy sees mirages all the time, because all he does is wander around looking for gold with his donkey. And he's never found any gold, but that's just what he does. And he's friends with everyone in the desert, and he gives Casper some water, because he doesn't think that a ghost, or that a little mirage will drink very much water.
Okay.
So Casper brings it back to the other ghosts, who drink it and then go off to look for the cactus put in Casper's bed still, because they're assholes.
Even after he saves them.
Even after he saves them from dehydration, they're like, now let's go find that cactus. So in the meantime, the nicest man of the desert is just being kind of depressed. He's like, I'm a big piece of shit. I haven't found any gold. I'm a big, dumb idiot. And then Casper wants to help, but like, this is pages and pages, man.
Yeah. Feel free to skip as you. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know what you might be skipping. It's fine with me.
I just it up entirely. There was never a comic series at all.
Wow, you are good at this.
Thank you. But yeah, so he's been looking for gold. Eventually, Casper finds a magic lamp. So we're finally to the genie. He finds a magic lamp in the desert, and then a genie pops out, and Casper has 3 wishes.
Does he wish to be alive?
He doesn't.
Jesus, Casper.
Casper is so nice that he just wants to get, like, the genie's pumped to go be, like, in the world again. So he's like, hurry up and make your wishes, and Casper wants him to go back in the bottle and give the wishes to the old man, the nicest man in the desert. So the genie's like, yeah, alright, but your friend only gets 2 wishes because you just used that one. And Casper's like, whatever. So then the old man wishes for gold. He gets a bunch of gold, but then his donkey is really sad because he's like, if you have a bunch of gold, you don't need a donkey anymore.
What kind of logic is that?
I don't know, but the donkey was crying, and then instantly the guy's like, oh shit, I won't need you if I have money, so I don't want the money. So they... So he uses his 3rd wish to wish for... He trades the money for the moon.
The moon?
The moon. So now he gives the old man a deed to the moon. And then the old man and the donkey are very happy because the guy's like, oh, go invite all our friends to come see our moon tonight.
That sounds like something you could trick any idiot into buying. He wants some property on the moon? That's $15.
But yeah, so the old man has the moon and everyone's happy, and that's the end.
Wow, that is terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Do they find the cactus, or do we not find out?
Oh yeah, the last panel is the ghosts. It's been their house has been covered by a sandstorm, which was, I guess, part of how they found. I think whatever. It's covered by a sandstorm, and the cactus is hidden under there. And now Casper has to help them dig out and find the cactus and the house again.
They suck at pranks. They are not good at this.
They were really, really not. I don't know what the whole cactus thing was, but they were really into it.
Again, this is a ghost. A cactus. This should not affect a ghost.
And then the other genie story was even weirder.
Okay.
So in this one, Casper just, like, he's hanging out reading a book at his house, and then a camel peeks in the window.
Where do they live?
They live in the Enchanted Forest.
Oh, okay.
And there's all sorts of weird, like, it's all weird creatures. There's always trolls around, and, like, elves, and, like, little weird creatures, so lots of witches. So on the camel, there is an Arabic gentleman who is Camel Charlie, a dealer in antiques.
Does he have all these goods in a trench coat that he moves aside?
No, he has sort of like a Santa bag looking thing on his camel. And out of that, he has a horn that only plays crooked notes. Except when Casper plays it, he gives it to Casper because Casper gave him directions or I don't know, something. And yeah, so then Casper plays the horn that only has bad notes and has the sweetest note anyone's ever heard. And then a genie who is also a hippie comes out. So,
Now, well, wait a second. When you say he's a hippie, how does the comic describe this? How do we know he's a hippie?
well, at first you don't, but then he starts saying things like "daddy-o," and like I didn't pick up at first that he was a hippie. But then Casper does, and Casper says, I didn't know they had hippies 3,000 years ago. And then from there, I guess we just know he's a hippie. Until he starts getting Casper to make wishes. And Casper doesn't want to make wishes. He's happy. He's fine. He's like, no, everything's cool. I don't need any wishes. And the genie's like, don't you wish this place was more colorful? And now here's where we see the hippie stuff start to come out, because he starts painting all the landscape, all these psychedelic colors. And they're like way too much for Casper to handle. But then a bunch of...
It sounds like this hippie gave Casper some acid.
He might have given him a little bit of acid. But then there are a bunch of far-out teenagers show up to check out this groovy scene. And they're really into the genie. And the genie is sick of Casper and his goody two-shoes ways. So he wants to hook up with all these hippie teenagers.
What a sentence.
And then we have a few very strange pages of the genie and the hippies. And have you ever read Shade the Changing Man comics?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's like a very psychedelic, like Vertigo title, and it just, I don't know, the drawings get very strange on these couple of pages. Like,
okay.
I guess their idea of hippies and everything's very like brightly colored and upside down and inside out and weird. And then finally, they're just making everything crazy, but Casper finds the horn again, and playing the note for some reason makes everything back to normal. And then all the hippies have like jobs and they want to go to school. And
oh no!
And the genie's like, oh damn, I think I need to get back in the bottle for a bit, and I don't want that weird horn. I just want to be normal again. And then everyone's normal, and Wendy the witch shows up and puts the genie in a pot, and she's like, see ya. And that's it.
Wow, the hippie went into a pot? Wow.
The hippie went into a pot, yeah. But yeah, so that is the two hippie stories in this book for some reason. I mean, Genie stories.
Dying to know what the hippie Genie segment is called.
It is called Camel Charlie's Gift.
Oh, that's lame. I thought maybe we would have like a groovy title.
None of these titles are any good.
Okay.
There's a table of contents on the front page of this comic. However, it only lists 5 of the stories, and none of them have page numbers. So
someone slacked off that day.
The ones it lists are the main titles, the Casper stories, and they are The Smoker, which is about a smoking giant. It's just a giant. There was this town that had a really great air, and everyone who was there was like, oh man, this town has the freshest air, we love it here, until a giant comes and he's smoking a cigar, and then there's a whole bunch of mishaps with the giant and the cigar, and he's like a dickhead. And eventually they get him to quit smoking to date a beautiful giantess.
Okay.
Who doesn't like smokers. And then the last panel of that one had a little thing that's like, smoking sucks, tell your parents.
They all have a message, it seems. Hippies suck, smoking sucks, but being a ghost is rad.
And that there's some little, like, the one-page ones are the worst, I find. They'll be like, I don't know, 8 panels. And, like, this one is just like, Casper's like, wow, it's nice to be up in the snow-covered mountains in the winter. I'll just stand here and admire it. And then some little kids come by, and they think he's a snowman, and they say, let's get our burning glasses and melt it. And Casper's like, oh shit, I better turn invisible fast before they come back. I mean, he could have flown away. But he turns invisible, and then the kids come out and they're shocked because they never knew the sun could melt a snowman so fast.
Wow. What would have happened to Casper anyway if they had reflected sunlight on him? He wouldn't have melted.
Again, his rules seem very inconsistent. Perhaps he didn't even know.
That is a good point. He is a child who somehow knows what hippies are.
Well, this was the 80s. I guess hippies were relevant.
I guess. For some reason, as a child, my nickname my family gave me was Hippie Head. I do not know why.
Head.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. And they don't either. I've asked them, and they have forgotten.
Interesting. I feel like I really want to know where that came from and
I
why.
think it was some way to make fun of my giant head.
Yeah, you do have a pretty big head.
I do, but I don't know what hippies have to do with. Do hippies have big heads?
Hippies notoriously have gigantic heads.
Ah, that's a good point. What else from this comic do you want to talk about, if anything?
Yeah, there's some more. In addition to the Casper stories, there's a couple other, like the Ghostly Trio have a few stories of their own that are just focused on them. I know one of them, they keep getting interrupted by a ghost sightseeing tour that is also ghosts, so it's ghost in a ghost car.
Seeing as little ghosts?
Ghosts. And they keep getting interrupted by these sightseers, and it pisses them off. So they hide, and then they scatter their ghost tacks, so that when the ghost car drives in, it gets a flat tire. And then they scare all the ghosts by saying boo. And then
that's like going to a human and saying hello.
Well, it works because the ghosts are like, we are never coming back here again. And that's that comic.
I'm so mad at whoever made these comics.
They're fucked. Like, I remember reading them as a kid, and like, they were, I don't remember, I feel like I liked them, but what could I have been thinking?
I don't know. I guess you were a dumb child.
I guess I was just a complete moron. Okay, so in better news, we also have Spooky the Tough Little Ghost, who is superior to Casper in every way. He looks exactly like Casper, except the vast improvements in character design of a big black nose, a big round black nose, like in that classic kind of cartoon way, some freckles, and a derby hat.
Oh, hell yeah. Does he smoke? Does he sell newspapers on a sidewalk?
He doesn't, but he does talk with a bit of a Boston accent. It's not as emphasized in this one, but I know in some of the earlier comics, a lot of his words were like altered to be like Goyle instead of girl or whatever.
Does he say use a lot? Hey, use ghosts?
Yep, that kind of thing.
Hell yes.
He has a girlfriend named Pearl Poyle. And so their shtick, basically, Spooky's just like a regular ghost. He just looks cool, I think, is why he gets his own. He's Casper's cousin, I think. Yeah, so he just likes scaring everybody the same as any ghost. He likes pulling pranks the same as any ghost. But his girlfriend Foyle does not approve of that. She doesn't think he should be scaring people. And she gets mad at him, so that's their whole shtick.
Do you know how they met? I'm reading it right now.
I don't know how they met.
She fell in love with Spooky when he rescued her from captivity by abusive witches who were enslaving her in her own house. This was in a one comic book issue. And let's see. She is always trying to stop him from killing people, and is always threatening to break up with her, or dating other ghost guys.
Yeah. I've seen her do a bit of dating other ghost guys, for sure. She is a fickle girl. Wow. But, like, I don't know, man. I think Spooky can do better. Like, just, if you like scaring so much, why aren't you going out with a ghost girl who also likes scaring?
Yeah, I mean, there'll have to be, like, a ghost dating app at this point.
Right?
I would hope so.
And who else do we have? Yeah, so, and Wendy, the good little witch, who is basically Casper. She's just like, she's a witch, but all the other witches like being evil and doing bad magic, and she just wants to be nice and make friends, basically. So He's the same. And she also has 3 older witches she hangs out with. They haven't bothered to make them look different. They look completely identical to each other, just like the classic cartoon witch you would picture, like green, big nose. And their thing is they just like making really gross soup a lot in their cauldron. And Wendy doesn't like it because it smells bad.
I can relate. I made some soup in a cauldron last night.
Bean soup.
Yeah. I mean, I guess some people would find that gross.
Yeah, Wendy would probably not like it because she is grossed out when they're making their soups, and she's always trying to come up with ways to make them not make it.
What's so gross about these soups, and what are they putting in it? Eggs?
I don't think it's, technically it's probably not a soup. It's some sort of evil potion. I didn't see anything they were putting in it, just like vile ingredients.
Okay.
Just vile things. There was one where Wendy kept trying to cast spells to ruin their soup, and she turned it into a big block that then fell into a slimy lime pit, and then it fell from the slimy lime pit, it tumbled into the old sulfur swamp, which apparently are places around here.
Any issues in this comic book digest about Caspel's enemy, Kibosh?
I am unfamiliar with Kibosh. Please tell me everything that you know.
Oh god, I don't know. I just clicked it. There's a Wikipedia page, but there's a list of enemies that Caspel has.
Yeah. I know there's some characters, like he has a horse named Nightmare as well that did not feature at all in this particular comic digest.
Okay. So this happened in a direct-to-video cartoon called Caspel, A Spirited Beginning. After discovering Caspel's absence in the Ghost Central, which might be a school, Kibosh becomes so mad about the idea of letting a rookie ghost being let loose without any education, and he forces his spineless assistant, Snivel, to find Caspel and bring him back. So I guess he's like some type of principal. Alright.
Interesting.
He has other enemies, with various names. One is called Captain Peg Leg Potbelly. One is called Brock Lee.
Brock Lee.
Get it?
Oh, like broccoli.
Yeah.
I do get it.
Yeah, I guess he has enemies. Everybody has an enemy sometimes.
Huh. Poor Casper. All he wants to do is make friends, and yet he ends up with all these enemies. It hardly seems fair.
What else from this digest?
I mean, I feel like that pretty much gave the scope of what's going on in here.
Okay, there's nothing else like you just dying to get out that we can't end this without you talking about? There's no like, holy shit, Casper killed a baby.
No, there's one point where like he has to face a bunch of different creatures, and the last one is a big fly swatter. For some reason.
What do you mean?
I don't know. He's hanging out with these Martian-looking dudes in this one, and he's trying to help turn the world right side up again because they turned the gravity off to keep their prince in town, so he wouldn't go hang out with the other people. So Casper, of course, is going through this cave to catch up with someone or do something. And first he runs into this big yellow troll, and that guy's horrified and he gets by him. And then he runs into like this, I don't know, also kind of troll-looking guy, but it has a whole bunch of arms and legs and a big grotesque face. And then finally he runs into a big fly swatter with a face. He's about, I don't know, 5 times the size of Casper, quite a bit bigger than him. It has arms and legs and a face, and it's just a fly swatter, and it tries to swat Casper, who escapes.
Wow. That's intense.
It was very intense.
Alright. Well, what else is there to say about Casper the Friendly Ghost that we haven't already discussed?
I feel like we've hit on most of what we need to.
Yeah, I think so.
The Harvey family does have a few other characters that we could touch on at a later date, such as Richie Rich, who isn't really very horror, I guess. He's just a little
unless he is Casper.
If he is Casper, then that connection, yeah, definitely makes something happen.
I'm really interested to find out more about someone named Hot Stuff.
Hot Stuff. Yeah, you know what? I really need to do a deep dive into hot stuff, and then we can come back and talk about them, because I have a very vivid memory as a kid of being like, I don't know, 5 years old with my mom in this old super dumpy thrift store around here, and he had piles of comic books, and find a hot stuff comic and being like, oh shit, this is the most important day of my life. And
Yeah.
it was $2, which was vastly overpriced for a comic back then. It should have been 25 cents. And somehow I got my mom to buy it for me, thank God.
Whoa.
hmm And yeah,
Okay.
it was hot stuff, and he is a little devil. And I don't know, I don't remember a lot about him now, but I'm pretty sure he's really great.
I just looking at what he looks like, I instantly want to get him as a tattoo.
Right? Let's get him as a tattoo.
Okay. Well, once we do the hot stuff episode, we will go out and get tattoos to celebrate.
I think, yeah, I'm down.
Okay, great. What do you have to plug or promote or whatever?
I don't know, like, I'm not, nothing like super recent, but everyone should probably read Writhing Skies if they haven't yet, and my collection In Dreams We Rot. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. They should read those, but especially the one I published.
yeah, especially the Writhing Skies, which won the This Is Horror Award and is very gross and goopy.
Yeah. Are you still doing a Popeye podcast?
That sort of fizzled out for no particular reason, just because I'm kind of a spacey human.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I feel good
Well,
about it.
yeah. I mean, it's okay to quit something because that. I mean, eventually, look at Casper. He quit being alive.
Yeah, and look where he is now. Dead.
He's dead.
What else can we all wish for in this, the year of 2020?
If you enjoyed today's episode of Ghoulish, hey, why don't you go leave a review on iTunes? Talk about it. Say, hey, I like this podcast. It was cool. It did good things to my body. Also, go buy the books we publish at perpetualpublishing.com. I publish books like Michael David Wilson's The Girl in the Video, Jessica Reynolds, Antioch, Pa Michael Anderson, Stand Alone. And I even write books too. My latest novella, We Need to Do Something, my latest novel, Touch the Night. You can get both of those at the same website, perpetualpublishing.com. You can also support the podcast and the whole indie publishing company at patreon.com/PMM Publishing.